It started as just another glamorous night in the music industry, flashing cameras, whispered conversations, and that electric tension that only comes when legends share the same room. But according to Jaguar Wright, that night changed everything between Rihanna and Jay-Z. What the world thought was a simple mentor-protege relationship, she says, was hiding something much darker. Something powerful enough to shatter friendships, careers, and even lives. When Jaguar dropped her latest bombshell interview, fans were left stunned. The outspoken soul singer, known for her unfiltered truth bombs, didn't hold back, and this time, she was aiming straight at the throne. She claimed to know exactly what went down between Rihanna and Jay-Z, the secret meetings, the whispered arguments, the betrayal that no one was supposed to find out about. And if what she says is true, it could completely rewrite the story we've all been told about how Rihanna became the superstar she is today. Whispers of jealousy, manipulation, and heartbreak fill the air as insiders come forward with their own shocking accounts. Did Rihanna and Jay-Z cross a line? Was Beyoncé aware of what was happening behind closed doors? Fans are demanding answers, and tonight, we're breaking down everything Jaguar Wright just exposed about the twisted truth behind the glitz, fame, and betrayal. It all began with Jaguar Wright sitting in a dimly lit studio, her voice low but steady, eyes glinting with the kind of truth that makes people uncomfortable. She leaned forward and said, "People think they know the story, but they have no idea what really went down between Rihanna and Jay-Z." And in that moment, the internet froze. Fans flooded the comments, influencers started dissecting every line, and rumors began spiraling faster than anyone could control. Jaguar had done it again. Another expose, another storm in the music world. But this time, it felt different. It felt personal. According to Jaguar, everything started years ago, when Rihanna was still a rising star from Barbados, fresh off her first single and eager to prove herself. Jay-Z, already one of the biggest names in the industry, saw something in her. Something he said reminded him of his own hunger when he first started. He took her under his wing, promising to guide her career, to help her navigate fame's dangerous waters. To the public, it looked like mentorship, a big brother guiding his talented little sister. But Jaguar claimed the truth was messier. She said that what began as mentorship slowly turned into a complicated relationship filled with tension, power plays, and unspoken emotions. She described scenes that sounded straight out of a movie, late-night studio sessions that lasted until dawn, private meetings that excluded everyone else, and whispered arguments that echoed through the halls of Rock Nation. According to Jaguar, some of the staff had noticed the shift, how Jay-Z's demeanor changed whenever Rihanna walked into the room. One engineer allegedly told her, "You could feel it in the air." It wasn't just business anymore. Fans had always speculated about their chemistry, but Jaguar claimed there was more to it than just rumors. She said Rihanna had confided in someone close to her at the time, admitting that she felt trapped, grateful for Jay-Z's support but also burdened by his control. "He was the gatekeeper," Jaguar explained. Everything had to go through him. Who she talked to, what songs she released, even what producers she could work with. Things came to a boiling point, Jaguar claimed, during the recording of one of Rihanna's biggest early hits. Apparently, there was a heated argument between her and Jay-Z over creative direction. She wanted to explore her Caribbean roots, to bring her own sound and identity to the forefront. Jay-Z, on the other hand, wanted something more commercial, something that would guarantee chart success. Voices were raised, tempers flared, and according to Jaguar, that argument changed everything. She said that after that day, the dynamic between them shifted. Rihanna started pulling away, Jaguar said. She started realizing that maybe this wasn't mentorship anymore. Maybe it was control disguised as opportunity. Some insiders claimed that Jay-Z didn't take the distancing lightly. He allegedly began sidelining her ideas in meetings, pushing back on her creative independence. Others close to the situation said that's when tension started spilling out into the open. And that's when Beyoncé began to notice. Beyoncé had always been aware of Jay-Z's connections in the industry. But according to Jaguar, she started sensing something unusual in his behavior. She wasn't jealous, Jaguar clarified. She was cautious. She knew how powerful the industry could be, and how easy it was for people to get lost in it. But the tabloids didn't see it that way. They started publishing stories about jealousy, secret phone calls, and mysterious meetings. And as the rumors grew, so did the silence from all sides. Jaguar claimed that behind the scenes, there were several attempts to calm things down. Jay-Z's team reportedly reached out to Rihanna's camp, suggesting that they keep their public interactions minimal to avoid feeding the gossip. But by then it was too late. the industry had started whispering, and fans were piecing together clues from interviews, body language, and cryptic social media posts. Then came what Jaguar called the night everything changed. She wouldn't say exactly when or where, but she described it as a private after-party following an awards show. According to her, the atmosphere was electric, celebrities mingling, champagne flowing, music pulsing. Rihanna arrived late, looking radiant but distant. Jay-Z, already surrounded by friends and business associates, seemed distracted. Jaguar claimed that someone close to her that night witnessed a confrontation between them. It started with a quiet conversation in the corner of the room, but soon escalated into sharp words, gestures, and finally, Rihanna walking away with tears in her eyes. Nobody knew what was said. But the next day, insiders noticed a major shift. Rihanna stopped appearing at Roc Nation events. Meetings were canceled. And Jay-Z, for the first time, seemed unsettled. He didn't talk about it, Jaguar said. But everyone could tell something was off. It was like a storm had passed through and left everything scattered. What happened next, according to Jaguar, was a calculated move. She claimed Jay-Z began to quietly distance himself from Rihanna's career, focusing instead on other artists. It wasn't a public fallout, she explained. It was quiet, strategic, like cutting someone off without anyone realizing it. And yet, Rihanna continued to rise, proving she didn't need anyone's permission to shine. Fans remember how her music started changing around that time. More raw, more emotional, more her. Jaguar pointed to that as evidence that Rihanna had finally broken free. She took back her power, Jaguar said. She stopped letting other people write her story. But she also hinted that Rihanna's independence came at a price, that certain industry. Doors were closed to her for years because of that fallout. Meanwhile, Beyoncé was dealing with her own turmoil. Jaguar claimed she and Jay-Z had quiet arguments about the situation, trying to maintain their public image while privately struggling with trust. Beyoncé isn't just an artist, Jaguar said softly. She's a brand. And when you're a brand, you can't afford scandal. But the rumors wouldn't stop. They followed all three of them, in interviews, award shows, even casual sightings. Every glance, every gesture was analyzed and turned into another headline. Rihanna, refusing to play into the narrative, stayed silent. Jay-Z dodged questions with his usual cool composure. And Beyoncé, ever the professional, smiled through it all. Yet Jaguar insisted that beneath the surface, the wounds never fully healed. She claimed that even years later, whenever they crossed paths at industry events, there was a noticeable chill in the air, a silent acknowledgement of something that could never be spoken aloud. As she finished recounting the first part of her story, Jaguar leaned back and said, "People see the glitz and glamour, but they don't see the deals, the betrayals, the power games that go on behind closed doors." What happened between Rihanna and Jay-Z wasn't just about music. It was about control, ego, and survival. Her words left the room heavy with tension, the kind of silence that comes when people know they've just heard something they weren't supposed to. But Jaguar wasn't done. She hinted that the real story, the one that explained why certain songs were pulled, why certain collaborations never happened, and why some friendships suddenly ended, was just beginning. And as the cameras kept rolling, she took a deep breath and said, "You think that argument was bad? Wait until you hear what happened next." The room was silent for a few moments after Jaguar Wright's final words. The camera light flickered softly, catching the edge of her expression. Calm, steady, but with that spark of defiance that always meant she was about to drop something bigger. She took a sip of water, looked directly into the lens, and continued. "See, the argument wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much darker, something that almost ended a career, maybe even two." According to Jaguar, after that explosive night, the industry started buzzing. Insiders whispered that Jay-Z had made a decision, one that would ensure he stayed in control of the narrative. He didn't want anyone thinking he'd lost his grip, Jaguar said. So he did what powerful people do in this business. He started managing the story. And the story he wanted people to believe was simple. Rihanna was a rising star who'd just outgrown her mentor. Nothing more, nothing less. Mentor. Nothing more, nothing less. But Jaguar claimed that behind the scenes, things were far more complicated. Rihanna, she said, began facing unexpected pushback from record executives. Some of her songs were delayed, her creative ideas dismissed. One insider allegedly told Jaguar that there were meetings she wasn't even invited to anymore. Meetings where decisions about her music were made without her. It was like she was being quietly erased, Jaguar explained. Like someone was trying to remind her who held the real power. Still, Rihanna didn't back down. She kept working, pouring her emotions into her music. And soon, the tone of her songs began to shift. The heartbreak, the rebellion, the edge that fans loved her for started to shine through even more fiercely. That's when you know she was fighting back, Jaguar said. You can hear it in her voice and her lyrics. That wasn't just art, that was survival. But as Rihanna's confidence grew, so did the tension. Jaguar claimed that Jay-Z felt betrayed, that he believed she was biting the hand that fed her. He saw her independence as defiance, Jaguar said. And in this business, defiance is dangerous. Allegedly, there was another confrontation between them, this time in an office, not a studio. Voices were raised, doors were slammed, and people nearby pretended not to hear. It was the kind of argument you don't forget, Jaguar said. Because when it was over, nothing was ever the same. Rumors spread quickly that Rihanna was planning to leave Roc Nation entirely. She started exploring other management options, quietly testing the waters to see who would take her side. But according to Jaguar, Jay-Z wasn't about to let that happen easily. He built her career, she said. He wasn't going to let her walk away without consequences. Around that time, Jaguar said, strange things began happening. Stories about Rihanna's personal life started surfacing, stories that painted her in a negative light. Tabloids ran headlines about diva behavior, missed rehearsals, temper tantrums. It was character assassination, Jaguar insisted. And it was coming from people who wanted to discredit her. One source even told her that a smear campaign had been launched quietly within the industry. Not enough to destroy her, but enough to make people question her professionalism. You gotta understand, Jaguar said. In the music world, perception is everything. Once people start doubting you, it doesn't matter how talented you are. But instead of crumbling, Rihanna used the chaos to her advantage. She reinvented herself. New sound, new image, new attitude. She stopped trying to fit into anyone else's mold and started owning her own story. Fans noticed the change instantly. Her music got bolder, her fashion louder, her presence unstoppable. That was her way of saying, "You can't control me anymore," Jaguar explained. And that scared a lot of people. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's camp was doing damage control. Jaguar said he was furious that the situation had spun so far out of his hands. He didn't like being the villain, she said. He wanted to be seen as the mentor, the businessman, the visionary. But behind the scenes, he was scrambling to protect his reputation, especially with Beyoncé watching closely. Jaguar claimed that Beyoncé's reaction to the whole situation was complicated. She's not the kind of woman who yells or throws things, Jaguar said. She's quiet, she observes. But when she finally speaks, her words cut deep. According to her, there were private arguments, hushed but intense, about loyalty, boundaries, and respect. Beyoncé didn't need to ask questions, Jaguar said. She already knew. The tension started spilling into their music too. Jaguar pointed to certain lyrics, certain performances that seemed to hint at betrayal and emotional distance. If you listen closely, she said, you can hear the truth in their songs. Music doesn't lie. Fans began speculating, dissecting lyrics, connecting dots that may or may not have been there. But one thing was certain. Something had shifted in the power dynamic of all three lives. And then came what Jaguar called the silence phase. It was a period when everyone involved suddenly went quiet. No interviews, no statements, no public appearances together. That's how the industry handles scandals, she said. You go dark, you let the noise die down, and when you come back, you pretend nothing happened. But even in the silence, the tension remained. Insiders whispered that certain producers refused to work with Rihanna, not because of her talent, but because of the politics involved. Some said there were calls made, quiet warnings from powerful people advising others to keep their distance. It's like invisible warfare, Jaguar said. No one says anything directly, but everyone knows what's happening. Rihanna, however, refused to fade away. She pushed harder, worked longer, and came back stronger than ever. She wasn't just making music anymore, Jaguar said. She was making statements. Her albums began breaking records, her fan base grew beyond the industry's control, and her confidence became untouchable. That's when the tables started to turn, Jaguar explained. Because the one thing you can't control is genuine love from fans. And while Rihanna was rising higher, Jay-Z was dealing with the fallout of his own choices. Jaguar claimed that behind closed doors, he was frustrated, angry, and paranoid about losing his influence. He's built his empire on control, she said. And when that control slips, he doesn't handle it well. Allegedly, he started cutting ties with certain people, changing his circle, tightening security around his business and personal life. Through all this, Beyoncé remained the calm in the storm, at least publicly. Jaguar said that she admired how Beyoncé handled everything, but hinted that the tension left permanent cracks in their marriage. "You can forgive someone," Jaguar said softly, "but you never forget." As the years passed, the story faded from public conversation, replaced by new scandals and headlines. But Jaguar claimed that the emotional damage never truly disappeared. Rihanna became stronger, she said. Jay-Z became colder, and Beyoncé became quieter. And the industry? It just moved on, pretending nothing ever happened. Yet Jaguar wasn't done. She leaned in, eyes narrowing, and said, "But there's something people don't know. That silence, it wasn't peace. It was strategy. Because there was one more twist in this story, one that connects everything in a way nobody saw coming." The room fell quiet again. She looked straight into the camera and added, "You think the story ended when Rihanna broke free? Nah, that's when the real power game began." Jaguar paused for a long moment before she spoke again, her fingers tapping lightly on the table. The silence was thick, the kind of silence that pulls you in, making you lean closer. When she finally spoke, her voice dropped into a tone that was almost a whisper, as if the walls themselves might be listening. "What people don't understand," she said slowly, "is that when you reach a certain level of fame, it's not about talent anymore. It's about leverage." And when Rihanna walked away, she took something with her that Jay-Z couldn't afford to lose. She didn't mean money or music. She meant information. According to Jaguar, Rihanna knew things about contracts, secret deals, backroom conversations, and even personal scandals that could shake the industry if they ever came out. She wasn't just some young artist anymore, Jaguar said. She had receipts. And that's what made her dangerous. Rumor had it that during the fallout, Rihanna had discovered certain documents, contracts that showed unfair terms, hidden percentages, and manipulative clauses that gave Roc Nation control over more of her brand than she had realized. Jaguar claimed that when Rihanna confronted Jay-Z about it, the argument that followed was so intense that security had to intervene. "They didn't touch each other," she said, "but the words they threw, those cut deeper than anything physical." Rihanna allegedly threatened to go public, to expose the manipulation and reclaim what was hers. But Jaguar said that Jay-Z, ever the strategist, managed to calm the storm, at least temporarily. "He convinced her to stay quiet," she said. "He told her that going public would ruin everything, that it would hurt her brand, her fans, her legacy. But the truth," Jaguar claimed, "was that it would have hurt his." So Rihanna stayed silent, but not submissive. She began building her own empire outside of music. Her fashion line, her makeup brand, her global image. All of it was her way of saying, "I don't need you anymore." And when Fenty Beauty became a billion-dollar success, the message couldn't have been louder. Jaguar smiled as she recalled it. That was her revenge, she said. Not a diss track, not a public feud. Success. Pure, undeniable success. Jay-Z, according to Jaguar, didn't take it lightly. He respected her, she admitted, but he also resented her. She'd done what he thought only he could do. She built her own kingdom. Behind closed doors, she said, there were conversations, attempts to reconnect, to rebuild bridges that had been burned. Some say they met privately more than once, trying to settle old wounds. But those meetings, Jaguar claimed, never ended peacefully. Too much had happened, she said. Too much pride, too much history. Meanwhile, Beyoncé was watching everything unfold with quiet intensity. Jaguar said that Beyoncé had always admired Rihanna's strength, even if the circumstances were complicated. Beyoncé isn't the type to hate, Jaguar said softly. She's the type to analyze. She sees power in other women and respects it, even if it threatens her. But still, the emotional tension in their circle was undeniable. Fans began noticing subtle changes. The once tight connections between Roc Nation artists began to loosen. Collaborations that seemed inevitable never happened. Red carpet photos that once showed warmth now showed polite distance. You could see it in their eyes, Jaguar said. They were all protecting themselves, their brands, their secrets. But just when everyone thought the storm had passed, something new surfaced. Jaguar claimed that a former Roc Nation employee had reached out to her, sharing details that reignited the old rumors. The source told her that Rihanna had been approached to rejoin a major business project with Jay-Z, but she declined. She didn't even entertain the idea, Jaguar said. She told them she was done being controlled. And that rejection, according to the insider, didn't sit well with Jay-Z. After that, subtle moves began again. Not open hostility, but quiet industry games. Invitations stopped coming. Projects that should have included Rihanna somehow didn't. She wasn't being blacklisted outright, Jaguar explained, but it was clear she was being isolated. It's like they were reminding her she may have left their table, but they still own the dining hall, she said. Still, Rihanna didn't falter. She doubled down on her independence, focusing on her humanitarian work, her businesses, and eventually, her family life. When she became a mother, fans saw a new side of her, calm, grounded, untouchable. Jaguar described it as the final transformation. They couldn't control her anymore, she said. She'd built something they couldn't buy. Peace. But Jay-Z, Jaguar claimed, wasn't at peace. She said that his empire, though still strong, began to show cracks. Controversies, lawsuits, and rumors about internal tension at Roc Nation kept surfacing. Karma doesn't always hit fast, Jaguar said with a faint smile. Sometimes it waits until you think you're untouchable. There was one particular moment, Jaguar recalled, that summed up everything. It was at an industry gala a few years ago. Rihanna and Jay-Z were both there, for the first time in years. The cameras caught a brief moment, just a nod, a look, and nothing more. But if you know how to read energy, Jaguar said, that moment spoke volumes. She described how Beyoncé watched the exchange from across the room, poised but expressionless. She knew, Jaguar whispered. She knew everything. After that event, Rihanna continued to thrive, and Jay-Z focused on rebuilding his business ventures. But Jaguar suggested there was still unfinished business between them, something deeper than the public ever realized. It's not hate, she said. It's something more complicated. They're bound by history, by the kind of bond that comes from war. You can't erase that. Jaguar leaned closer to the camera. People think this was just about fame, she said. But it wasn't. It was about power. Who has it? Who loses it? And who refuses to give it away? She paused, her expression darkening slightly. But there's one more thing the public never saw, the secret meeting that happened years later. The one that changed everything. The interviewer, barely containing their curiosity, asked her to explain. Jaguar took a deep breath. It was supposed to be a peace meeting, she said. A chance to bury the past. It was arranged through mutual friends, private, off the record, no cameras. According to her, it took place in a luxury villa overseas. Just Jay-Z, Rihanna, and 2 trusted associates. No assistants, no phones, no entourage. At first, the conversation was calm. They talked about business, about the industry, even about the past. But as the night went on, the tone shifted. Jaguar said that Rihanna confronted Jay-Z directly, accusing him of manipulating her career for his own gain. She told him she'd forgiven him but would never forget, Jaguar said. And she told him she'd made peace not because he deserved it, but because she needed to move on. Jay-Z, according to Jaguar's source, sat in silence for a long moment before finally replying, "You became everything I knew you would be." And then, just as quietly, he added, "You just did it without me." That line, Jaguar said, ended the conversation. There were no handshakes, no reconciliation, just mutual understanding that whatever they had, good or bad, was over forever. When Jaguar finished telling that part of the story, she smiled faintly and said, "And that's how power shifts. Quietly, privately, in rooms no one ever sees." But she wasn't done yet. She hinted that there was still one more secret, something that connected not just Rihanna and Jay-Z, but Beyoncé too. Something that would explain the strange silence that followed that meeting. She leaned back, her tone darkening once more. "You think it ends there?" she said softly. "No, baby. The real twist, and that comes next." Jaguar's eyes seemed to gleam in the dim studio light as she exhaled slowly, like she'd been holding the secret for years and had finally decided tonight was the night she'd let it all out. "You want to know the real twist?" she said quietly. It wasn't just about Rihanna and Jay-Z. It was about what happened after that meeting, the chain reaction that almost tore an empire apart. She said that when Rihanna walked out of that private meeting, she felt relief for the first time in years. She had spoken her truth, faced the man who once controlled her career, and walked away with her dignity intact. But the world didn't know that something else happened in the aftermath, something that shook the Carters' inner circle to its core. According to Jaguar, after that meeting, Jay-Z became distant, distracted, even haunted. He was a man who'd always been in control, she explained. But after seeing Rihanna again, something shifted in him. Beyoncé felt it immediately. Jaguar said that sources close to the couple noticed small cracks beginning to show, missed dinners, cold silences, and tension that no amount of public smiles could hide. She asked him straight up, Jaguar said. She said, "Is there something you're not telling me?" And his answer was silence. That silence said everything. Beyoncé, Jaguar continued, was not the type to act rashly. She played the long game, always thinking 5 steps ahead. Instead of confronting Rihanna, she began to quietly observe who Jay-Z was calling, where he was traveling, what projects he was suddenly interested in. She knew something was off, Jaguar said. She could feel it, like a change in the air before a storm. But then came the twist no one expected. Jaguar claimed that what really rattled Beyoncé wasn't the idea of infidelity. It was what Rihanna had said to Jay-Z during that meeting. She told him the truth about the contracts, about the manipulation, about everything, Jaguar said. And she told him she was considering telling her story, not to the press, but through her art. Jay-Z allegedly panicked at the thought of that. Imagine a global superstar like Rihanna telling her truth through her music, Jaguar said. That would have been catastrophic for him. It would have exposed everything, the control, the power plays, the way the industry really works. Jaguar claimed that was when Jay-Z and Beyoncé made a pact to protect their brand at all costs. According to her, that's when something strange happened. A wave of quiet reconciliation started sweeping through the industry. Old feuds seemed to disappear overnight, new alliances formed, and public attention began shifting toward other controversies. They needed distraction, Jaguar said, and they got it. She suggested that there was a deliberate effort to steer the narrative away from anything involving Rihanna. But Rihanna wasn't playing their game anymore. Jaguar said she stayed silent, biding her time, pouring her truth into her creative projects instead. She started building Fenty into an unstoppable empire, signing deals that made her one of the most powerful women in entertainment, without needing anyone's approval. She built her own table, Jaguar said. And that scared them more than anything. Rumors began circulating that there was another quiet meeting, not between Jay-Z and Rihanna this time, but between Beyoncé and Rihanna. Jaguar leaned closer, lowering her voice as if she were reliving the tension of that moment. It was supposed to be a conversation between two queens, she said. Woman to woman, no hostility, no competition, just truth. The meeting allegedly took place at a fashion event in Paris. No cameras, no entourage, just mutual respect. Jaguar's source claimed that Beyoncé approached Rihanna and said, "I know everything. I just need to know if it's done." Rihanna, calm and composed, reportedly replied, "It's been done. I moved on years ago." Jaguar paused, her tone softening. "And you know what Beyoncé said back?" She said, "Then so have I." For a moment, it seemed like the story might end there. Two powerful women choosing peace over conflict. But Jaguar said there was still one final twist, one that explained the eerie silence that followed. According to her, both women knew something much bigger was at play, something involving the way the music industry was run. They both knew they'd been played, Jaguar said. Not just by Jay-Z, but by the entire system that profits from keeping artists under control. She claimed that after that realization, both women made a silent agreement to use their influence to break the system from within. Jaguar pointed to how both Beyoncé and Rihanna began taking more ownership of their work, supporting independent artists, and using their platforms to push for change. That wasn't coincidence, Jaguar said. That was strategy. But as powerful as that alliance was, Jaguar claimed that Jay-Z found himself increasingly isolated. He built the empire, she said, but the queen started running the board. And it showed. Jaguar pointed to moments in award shows and industry events where the power dynamic seemed to shift. Subtle gestures, quiet nods, and moments of mutual respect between Beyoncé and Rihanna that fans never expected to see. That wasn't fake, she said. That was real. They weren't rivals anymore. They were survivors of the same war. But Jaguar didn't stop there. She hinted that there was still one secret that no one dared to speak out loud, something that tied all the drama together in a way that made people question everything they thought they knew about fame. Loyalty and control. You ever wonder why certain stories never make it to the headlines? She asked, staring directly into the camera. Why some scandals disappear overnight, like they never happened? It's because some people are too powerful to be exposed. The industry protects its own. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a near whisper. And if you think this story is wild, imagine the ones that never got told. For a moment, the room went silent again. The weight of her words hung in the air, heavy and electric. Rihanna and Jay-Z, she said finally, were never just a rumor. They were a lesson, a reminder that in this business, truth doesn't disappear. It just waits for the right moment to be heard. Jaguar sat back in her chair, her eyes glinting with that same knowing fire. People keep asking why I speak up, she said softly. I do it because somebody has to. Too many people are afraid to say what really happens behind those studio doors, behind those contracts, behind those smiles. She paused, letting her words sink in. Rihanna walked away with her freedom. And in this industry, that's the rarest thing there is. As she finished, the room felt heavier, almost sacred, like something monumental had just been revealed. The camera lingered on her for a few seconds, her expression calm, almost satisfied, as if she had finally set the record straight. And that, Jaguar said finally, her voice fading into a whisper, is what really happened between Rihanna and Jay-Z, and why the truth will never be the same again. So after everything Jaguar Wright revealed, one question still hangs in the air. What's the real truth? Did Rihanna and Jay-Z's relationship truly go deeper than business? Or was it all a twisted game of control, power, and survival in the cutthroat world of fame? Was Beyoncé just an innocent bystander in the storm? Or did she quietly rewrite the ending to protect her empire? No one knows for sure. And that's exactly what keeps fans talking. The internet hasn't stopped buzzing since Jaguar dropped these claims. Some say she's exposing the truth that others are too scared to say, while others believe it's just another dramatic story meant to shake the industry. Either way, one thing's for certain. The connections, the whispers, and the energy between these three icons have left a mark that no rumor can erase. It's not just about scandal anymore. It's about legacy, reputation, and who truly holds the power behind the scenes. And maybe that's the most shocking part. Not the arguments or betrayals, but how easily truth and illusion blur when fame gets involved. Maybe the truth isn't what we think. Maybe it's what they want us to believe. So what do you think really happened between Rihanna and Jay-Z? Was Jaguar Wright telling the truth? Or was it all just another layer in the endless game of fame and manipulation? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We want to know whose side you're on. And if you're just as stunned as we are by these revelations, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more explosive celebrity deep dives, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next bombshell. Because if Jaguar's right, this story isn't over, not by a long shot. Stay tuned, because the truth behind the music is only getting louder.